Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior, and today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 reasons I want to see Spawn within Injustice 2. Now these are my own personal reasons for wanting this character in here. Although I didn't grow up with the character, I've always been fascinated by the design of Spawn, the lore and mythos that lurks behind him. It's really dark, but also very intriguing, and I will say definitely worth looking into if you're interested in the character. Now from the silhouettes, we can all obviously get a rough idea of who's going to be on the roster, and not one of them kind of shows off Spawn. But shut up, this is my video. Now there have been multiple teasers and really a very high demand for the character to be in the game, so fans have most certainly made their voices heard about who they want to see as DLC, as everyone was screaming for Red Hood in the first game, and well, he has made it into the roster for the second game, and NRS are very in touch with their own community. So I'm making this video here to encourage the support of this character, as Spawn really does deserve more love. Anyway, on that note, let's actually get on to talking more about why I want Spawn within Injustice 2. Now number 1, let's talk about his eventual return. And what I mean by saying this is the return of Spawn as a character that can be iconic and really brought to the forefront of comics now. You see, with the birth of the MCU and the DCEU, Spawn has kind of been lost in the shuffle of characters, and that's falsely due to the character himself not really being promoted as much as he was a long time ago. It's in fact been 14 years since Spawn has featured within a game, and 20 years since he featured in his last movie. Although that thing was terrible, you can most certainly see from these examples that Spawn really hasn't gotten a lot of love for an extremely long amount of time. And what a better way of helping this character resurface than putting him in a very popular fighting game, as Image Comics and DC Comics have in fact come together before and made a crossover comic. So I believe that by actually putting him within this game, it'll help promote the character and really have him come to the forefront of like anti-heroes, as like I said at the very beginning, he's been lost amongst the shuffle here. Now number 2, let's talk about movie. And I know, before you click off this video, because let's face it, the last movie was super bad, just hear me out. This new Spawn screenplay has been in production for an extremely long amount of time and is being handled by Spawn creator Todd McFarlane. He has come out and confirmed that he's finally finished the screenplay for the new Spawn movie, but the character isn't currently with any studio, and he hasn't yet been approached by anyone about turning the script into an official film. That's something that he said he will confirm in a few months time. He's also gone down and stated this isn't like a typical superhero movie. He's given it the R rating as it does suit the character, but has said that there will be more horror aspects in this film than there are of the typical superhero trope, so you can probably expect a ton of violence in it. And some of you are probably thinking why I'm talking about this. Well, by putting Spawn within the game, it's a great way of not only promoting the character but putting him back on the market. The video game industry is just as big, if not so larger, than the film industry these days, and that if you're able to bring a character like this within a game and help really make him shine again, it could not only bring in sales for the game but also create a possible crossover universe if the Spawn script is given a green light. Of course, this is all in due time. Now number 3, and let's face it, we couldn't avoid this one, his character design / gear. Now let's talk about the typical one we all see of Al Simmons. Al Simmons is probably the most famous Spawn. He's very iconic with his very black and symbiotic suit and the blood red cape, which in itself is its own character. But Al Simmons hasn't been the only Spawn there's ever been. You see, throughout the entirety of humanity, there have been multiple different Spawn. Al was just one victim of this curse, which leads to my next thing, the amount of endless cool gear you can get. There have been Spawns from feudal Japan, the era of when Vikings would raid, pillage and destroy villages, and even medieval knights. So just by picking from some of these, there is a ton of stuff they can create gear wise, and we can effectively create a Spawn the way we want to. It doesn't have to look anything like the Al Simmons we've come to know. I could make one that looks like he's a time traveler and is very confused of what he wants to wear, which is pretty much all my characters in Injustice right now. But you get my point. There's a large arsenal they can really pull ideas from, and it could make for some really cool character customization. Hell, we could change the way his suit looks. He doesn't always have to be like a pitch black Spawn. And even with his moveset, you could give him a glaive or even the battle axe he had from Soul Calibur. Just tiny nice little Easter eggs like that, with the addition of this character, would really kind of take it to another level. But anyway, that's kind of it for character design / gear. And let's talk about a rather controversial one, NRS the studio themselves. Now NRS really do take their times with their game, and they do put out quality content. This is evident throughout their Mortal Kombat games and the Injustice one, but in saying that, they are notorious for putting in a ton of guest characters, and sometimes this is a good thing and sometimes this is a bad thing. There is a certain point in a fighting game where the oversaturation of guest characters becomes something that fans get quite irritated by, as people do miss out on the opportunity for their favorite character to appear within the game. But in saying that, it can also be a very positive thing. We can get crossovers and matchups we've never even imagined about, and and sometimes depending on the character we get, it can be a very good thing. But at the end of the day, it ultimately does come down to the fandom and whether they appreciate said guest character or not. And I hope for Mortal Kombat XL they've learned from this. The game itself was fantastic, but many fans had felt cheated by what the developers did by putting in a lot of guest characters, and some who did feel very out of place. I'm looking at you, Leatherface. But NRS does learn from game to game and does improve on what they hear. So if they listen to their community more, then we could possibly see this character be within the game. And the last one is Simmons himself, and a ton of references he could have. Is a very interesting character. The man who's lost many years of his life due to betrayal and got screwed over by the devil just because he wanted to come back to life and join his family once again. He really has had it rough and really has a very bitter hatred towards the world, but he still has his morality and only execute criminals who have done wrong. Now, seeing a character like Simmons go toe to toe with Clark Kent would be very interesting. They both had lost their world, and whilst one fights from the shadows doing the right thing, the other one decided to oppress the world and build it in his own image. So having these two come face to face would be really cool, as we could see what they'd say to each other, and not only the battle between themselves but of the philosophies they stand for would be fantastic. It isn't really good versus evil at the end of the day between these two characters. They both have their reasons for being the way they are, and nothing will ever stop them from doing what they want to do. But anyway, this kind of wraps it up for the Spawn video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm really hoping that Spawn does make it into Injustice 2. We haven't seen the character in God knows how long, and it'd be a fantastic way of re-establishing him, even if it isn't kind of in his own universe. Now I want to give you guys a heads up next week that I will be making a video on Power Girl, explaining the differences between her and Supergirl. Now before this video wraps up, guys, if possible, let's try getting it to about 500 likes. It's a fantastic way of supporting this channel, as YouTube is still currently going through its adpocalypse, so you'd be helping out a ton. Now as always, guys, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next time.